So you're interviewing for a role as a software engineer. At some point, you'll do behavior interviews, possibly technical interviews, culture assessment interviews, and in almost all of these, you'll be given the opportunity to ask your interviewer questions. Usually it'll be at the end, and they'll say something like, "Do you have any questions for me?" Yes, you do. Always ask questions. There are two reasons. One, it shows that you're invested and you care. But two, it's your opportunity to figure out not only are you a good fit for the company, but is the company a good fit for you? And on that note, one of my favorite questions to ask when interviewing for a software role is, what's the process for getting code on my machine to production? What does that look like at this company? This can tell you a lot of things. First, it can tell you how often code is being deployed and promoted to production. Additionally, they might talk about continuous integration, continuous delivery, some of the tooling that they have in place, and also what the review process looks like. Do they have a QA team? Are you expected to kind of QA your own stuff? Do you QA coworkers' things and they QA your work? This is the opportunity to learn more about that. These type of things generally don't come up when doing the technical part of your interview. This is your opportunity to learn about that. Another question I like to ask during software engineering interviews is, have you all made any recent investments in technology or process changes that you're excited about? The idea with this one is that you can kind of suss out whether the company is innovating in a technology space or if they're changing processes, and generally how people feel about those processes or technologies that have been adopted or changed. Another great question to ask in software engineering interviews is, what brought you into your role when you started here? And once they tell you that, you can ask, is that still present at the company? A really good example for this might be a data engineer saying, well, I joined because we were doing data science in Julia, and I really like Julia, so I wanted to explore that more. Then you ask, is that still present at the company? And this can go a couple different ways. One, they can say, yes, it's fantastic, I love it, it's everything I wanted. Two, they could say, well, we actually found that Julia wasn't meeting our needs, so we have standardized on Python. And they, seem fairly happy about that, which is great. Another option is they say, well, no, to be honest, we started with Julia and I was pretty excited about that, and now we're on Python. It hasn't been my favorite thing, but I still write Julia in my spare time and I love it, or something like that. The idea here is to provide some insight into how people are feeling about their current role, and also how long they've been at the company, what was exciting for them, and whether the company kind of carried through on the thing that was exciting to bring that person into the role to begin with. This is kind of important if you are also seeing a couple key things in the role that you're excited about, but maybe they aren't something that's set in stone yet. Like the company is starting to use Flutter, but they're still sorting that out. That may or may not be a possibility in the future, and it's kind of helpful to see the company's track record with ideas like this. Another great question in software engineering interviews is, how often do we talk to our customers? And then also, is this something that engineers can participate in? This question's a double-edged sword. It sort of implies that you would like to work closely with customers, which hopefully enforces the idea that you have a customer-driven mindset. This is generally a very great thing to have. The second thing is you learn how often they talk to customers. Maybe the company never talks to their customers. Maybe the company works really closely with their customers, and you are expected to be professional and presentable when talking to customers. And then the second part, is this something that engineers can participate in? Asking this question shows that it's something you're interested in participating in, and it helps you figure out if that is actually a possibility at the company. Another great question when interviewing for a software engineering role is, how do we feel about unit testing, integration testing, and end-to-end testing? Also, it's good to ask, when do those tests run? Is that something that is ran on every commit? Are the integration tests ran on every deploy? Are end-to-end tests ran every time that we release a new feature? Or integration or end-to-end test ran every time that we do a deploy? Just learning a little bit more about that helps you identify kind of the quality bar that the company has set. And if you're like me, you like to work in companies where the quality bar is fairly high, where the company uses tools like unit testing, integration testing, and end-to-end testing to ensure that the things that we are pushing to our customers are working, and we're not going to get paged at 2 a.m. because things aren't working as expected. This last question is my personal favorite. So if you're interviewing for a software engineering role, I would recommend asking this. If I were to do this exact interview again, knowing what you know now, is there any feedback you'd give me to do better next time? This one can be a goldmine of valuable knowledge. Other times you might get answers like, I'm not sure I can answer that. That's totally fair. Or, nope, no feedback. Your mileage may vary with this one, but the idea here is showing two things. One, It shows that you are focused on growth and doing better. The second thing, you are asking very directly, if I were to do this exact same interview again, what could I do better next time? This is seeking feedback, and if you find yourself interviewing at a similar company or doing a similar interview, for like example, the data structure and algorithm interviews at a lot of major tech companies are pretty similar, it can help you prepare to do better next time. What are your favorite questions to ask during an interview? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below.